I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax. I can't sleep cause my bed's on fire. Don't touch me, I'm a real live wire. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Oh, psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. You start a conversation, you can't even finish it. You're talking a lot, but you're not saying anything. When I have nothing to say, my lips are sealed. Say something once, why say it again? Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Oh, oh, oh. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Oh, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Ce que j'ai fait ce soir-là, ce qu'elle a dit ce soir-là. Réalisons mon espoir. Je me lance vers les bras, ok. Yeah, 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 yeah. We are vain and we are blind. I hate people when they're not polite. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Oh, oh, oh. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hey folks, happy Wednesday to all of you. I don't know if that's a thing, but hey Sarif from Paris, been the first to join. Fantastic. I'm sorry about the mix-up with the Zoom link. I want to compensate for that by giving you great ideas today, which I had anyways planned to do. But yeah, disappointing news from Zoom today. We had some issues with our primary account. I'm not a big fan of Zoom after today. I don't know about you, but glad to have you all here. We'll keep chat active as I continue to talk. You can leave your questions while I walk you through some of the stuff here in the chat, or there's a Q&A section. So I'll try and answer as many as I can as I go. One of the things that I want to do is some of the stuff that you will see today. Bhumi, we'll try our best. Bhumi is asking if we can provide recording for the same. We don't prefer to do that, but we'll try our best and we'll put it up on our website. We already have some of the past webinars, so I request you to check that out. But yeah, as I was saying, the goal is to make sure that not only do I give you some interesting ideas, but also share some of the experience we've had with those ideas, which means We run about 8,000 A/B tests a year for our customers. And we have customers of all shapes and sizes, different industries, about 40, 45 different industries, traffic ranging from anywhere between 10, 15,000 hits a month to our largest customer gets about more than 55, 60 million users in traffic every month. So things change with scale a lot, but fundamentals don't, right? The simplest, most bland looking e-commerce site is still Amazon, right? And I think that's really something that we all need to remember as I walk you all through these ideas. Now, what we've done is we've broken down our conversation today into two parts. One is what could you do to boost your checkout rate? So what could you do with your checkout? The second is how to prevent cart abandonment. The reason to do that was I know a lot of the people here will be set up on Shopify basic plan where you can't do a lot with your checkout. You're stuck with whatever Shopify thinks is best. So I'll throw some light on that as well. I'll discuss more about what's good or bad about Shopify checkout. But at a high level, the idea is for me to share some opinion on the kind of results we are seeing with some of the ideas we have here. I also promise not to bring up AI and Chat GPT in the conversation today. Now, why I say that with a smile on my face is I think we are in today's world, we are exposed with these far-reaching ideas much more than we are exposed to ideas that are basic, that are usable today, that you don't need to hire 50 people to implement and so on and so forth. So I just want to make sure I give you some real information today that you can take home, probably implement some of it, and then go from there. The other thing is, if you feel that some of the information here is not immediately applicable on your site, we do audits. So sign up for one of those. We'll ask somebody to take a look at your website and we'll be happy to hop on and take a look and solve things for you. Okay, so now without further ado, I have already bored you all with the song, although it was a good song. I'm going to jump right in. Let's talk about boosting checkout rate first, right? Now, if you look at checkout, it's actually the end of the user journey. This is where the user has supposedly, so imagine the journey they've gone through, right? So they had a need. They looked for a solution for that need, which is your product. They had an intent. So they either searched on Google and then they found you and came, or you interrupted them on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok ad when they were watching cat and dog videos and they liked your product and now they're on the product page. They're thinking if they want to buy or not. So the user is already beyond awareness. So they are aware about you. They've considered buying you. They're in the decision stage, right? So in my opinion, 70-80% of the psychology is already you already passed all of those hurdles, all of those speed bumps, right? But the only thing about what happens when the user reaches checkout is that we will have users with a very diverse list of intents with which they'll actually land up when they land up in checkout. And the number one goal you have when you reach checkout is two things. One is don't waste their time. They've made their decision. There is a window in which they will pull the trigger on it. If you make that journey hard, obviously it's not going to work out for them, right? So I'm not going to talk about slow load times. I won't talk about payment options, all of that stuff, right? So the basics they obviously make sense. You need to have those, etc. The other thing is you will still have a lot of users that have a stretched consideration stage, which means that they are not decided yet. They added the product to cart, they went to checkout for various reasons. Now, the number one reason why we see low intent customers reaching checkout is shipping, right? So shipping information is not easily visible to them. So they reach all the way to the checkout. And everybody tries to fix the checkout experience as much as they can, whereas the problem is more fundamental. It's that your customer doesn't even have 100% intent to check out by the time they reach there, right? So we will also talk about what is the psychology behind a failed checkout and what are the reasons they happen, right? And then we'll also cover, how can you even kind of stop that from happening before the user reaches the checkout in the first place? How do you prevent abandonment, not only from cart, but from other places in your website? Jumping in, the first thing I'm going to talk about is signing up, right? Now I have I don't want to obviously, it's obvious that you don't want to have a long registration form. You don't want them to create an account and then check out. So those things are anyways obsolete. But one of the problems in the way current checkout experiences work are, is simply that the form that you're having people fill is more like a sign up form than it is a checkout form. Because really speaking, to make the purchase, the most core pieces of information you need from someone are their email ID, name and address, and that's it. Of course, you need the money from them. But apart from email ID, name, address, and phone number, you really don't need anything else. So if you break the form down in too many fields, it becomes tedious and it feels like a registration form. Guest checkout, however, is psychologically an easier path. So a hack or a trick that people normally use is they just rename their registration button to guest checkout button. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's legal in the internet law, but you can do that, and that way you are at least giving the user a lower friction path psychologically, right? Apparently, it feels like a lower friction path. It doesn't feel like you're expecting the user to do something that's too intense. The checkout as guest does another thing which you might want to explore, which is we've seen websites do extremely well where they guarantee some kind of no spam if they were to kind of drop their email while checking out, right? So give them an option to escape spam, because in a lot of cases people say, okay, you know what, I'm probably not going to do this. They're going to bombard me with emails and SMSs and whatnot. I'm just going to take a look at this later. I'm not ready to decide yet, and I don't want to go through all of this pain. So you want to make sure that the compulsory sign up is not there. If it is there, it doesn't look like a sign up. It doesn't look like a user registration. And even if it does, just rename it. Stop calling it a registration form. Just start calling it a guest checkout form or something like that, so that the user doesn't have to feel like they're going through a large, really tedious process, right? The second piece is express checkout, right? This is, I think, so in 2018 or 19, Amazon essentially expired a patent which allowed them to do one-click checkouts. Though that, of course, everybody picked up on it. And I think this is something that, so if you're not already doing this, please do it. It's extremely high conversion rate. You could use this across, you actually can implement express checkout directly on the product pages also. If you are a product that is highly transactional, that does not have, for example, if you're selling a $150, $200 dress, then obviously nobody will express checkout for a product like that. But if you're selling something that's lower value and generally sells, in ones, an express checkout right in the product page would work wonders. You can also obviously ideally do it in the cart. This way, the entire effort of signing up and doing anything else is eliminated. You get the information for payment and everything else directly from the payment provider. So look for an app that does that for you. If you're on a custom platform, there are still solutions out there. If you have questions or if you want recommendations, when we email you after this, just reply to that. That email comes to me directly. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay. So express checkout, really quick one. I'm going to move to the next one. One-page checkout. So I don't know how many websites here or how many people here are already doing this, but this again works wonders. It's actually not easy to do for checkout pages or checkout experiences that are custom built. But if you're set up on something like a Magento or a BigCommerce, it might be easier for you to implement something like this with the help of a developer. It won't be a lot of development effort, and I can assure you that it will yield its dividend very easily. I'll also show you a few more versions of one-page checkouts, which I'm covering in the examples as I keep going. But the core idea with one-page checkout is all information in one place. So if you see what's happening on the screen here, I know that I am not paying shipping on my order. I know that there is a tax involved. I know what I added, and I know that I just need to fill this information and I'm done, right? So that's the entire journey. The anxiety related with too many steps is actually not great, right? In this case, for example, I don't know how many more steps I need to go through. And I think that's slowly going to be the norm. I think one-page checkouts will slowly become the norm. Tim, you're saying that Shopify is updating. Yes, we know that as well, but I think it will still result in a two-pager. So, I'll see if we have time at the end, I'll show you what they're doing. But it will still result in a two-pager. It might not be true for Shopify standard accounts. Exactly. Salif is right. It's only for Shopify Plus. In fact, for Shopify Plus, you can go all out. You can actually tailor your entire checkout. The customers that we have for Shopify Plus, we do aggressive A/B testing for them in their checkout pages because we have that liberty. But for customers that are not on Plus, it's not possible. In which case, I'll talk about avoiding abandonment in the first place. So the point at which somebody reaches checkout for you, that they should already be there. They should already be ready to check out. That's the key with improving checkout on Shopify, is making sure low intent customers don't reach checkout, right? Or only high intent customers reach checkout. or rather all high intent customers reach checkout. So reduce your cart abandonment rate for customers that are showing high intent. What does high intent mean? It means they are visiting you second or third time, the product is in their cart, or maybe they are coming from a cart abandonment email, or maybe they're coming from an ad, which is a retargeting ad, etc. So there are many signals that customers carry that make them a high versus low intent customer. And you want to make sure that you're doing things to differentiate low from high intent so that the ones that reach checkout are the high intent ones. And also you don't leave any high intent customers behind. You don't lose them even before they reach checkout. So we'll talk about that piece in the next half of the discussion. Yes, that's what we meant in. That Shopify Plus, the one-page checkout will only be available Shopify Plus plan, but we'll see how Shopify treats that. I think Shopify has already received enough hate for their checkout. I think the numbers that we are seeing with Shopify, see, we have about 60% of our customers serve on Shopify, and I think one of the important pieces with that is that with Shopify checkout, we are seeing that checkout rates drastically change with the mix in traffic. So people with very high paid traffic versus very low organic, all of the people with that kind of traffic have a similar checkout rate versus everybody who's, say, very high direct traffic, or maybe a referral traffic from influencer marketing versus everything else. All of those kind of websites have similar checkout rates. So that's something that we are seeing as a trend. Vertical checkout flows work really well. So in interest of time and of course in interest of the presentation being smooth, I'm not walking you through web pages. It's a little bit clunky, but check out Sephora. And what they do is you can see in the vertical format instantly what the next step is. And that makes the checkout more sticky because it's easier for you to do that. Second is the most natural way in which users scroll is vertical. And I think it will be vertical for a long time. I think we all agree with that. I think we're all hooked to TikTok. So that's how it works. Instagram, that's how it works. Everything works vertically, right? So that's the natural scroll that users are likely to use. So if you're doing a one-page checkout and you don't want to do it in the way that I showed you on the last screen, this is another way to do this, although this is not technically one page because you will load 2 other sections, but this is still a great way to handle that, right? But there's something that's interestingly wrong with this page, and I'll cover that as I keep going, is that it doesn't have a progress bar of some kind. So given where the user is, you could put together a progress bar that allows the user to see where they are in the journey. I won't spend too much time on this, but where this is most helpful is mobile, because on mobile, a one-page checkout is not fully visible, so the user doesn't know how far they are already done. And the other thing you could also do, which is a smart implementation we've done for one of our customers, I'll actually try and include that example on this document when we share it with you. We've basically added how many minutes it's going to take for them to finish it. So we just say, 32 seconds to go for you to complete checkout, something like that. So if you are on the second step, it says, hey, just 12 more seconds and you're done. So it feels like, okay, great, fantastic. I have to just stick around for 12 more seconds. It does feel like you're trying to hurry the user into doing something, or you're trying to push the user into doing something, but that's really not what it is. It's actually the opposite. It's that the first thing is that a lot of the traffic you're driving is interruption traffic, right? So especially if you're driving it from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and the likes. They were watching cat and dog videos, and then you brought them to your site, right? So they were actually never intended to be on your site. You literally brought them there. Of course, you ran a great ad and you did that. The second kind of traffic you can have is intent traffic. So from a Google search or a Google search ad, they were looking for something, they stumbled across you. So there's a lot that's happening in that one journey. You're trying to build trust. You're trying to tell them that your product is what they should buy. You're trying to tell them it's a great price. You're trying to tell them that you will definitely deliver. So you're trying to establish alleviate any anxiety related to the purchase. And now you've landed them up on the checkout. So you want to make sure they feel like, they are the lag end of their journey. You want to make sure that the next, whatever 20 or 25 seconds you want from them are highly predictable. And these small improvements you make to your experience also make you look like a more professional store. I'm sure we've all seen these really tiny stores, power to them, but you can almost immediately understand if a store is professionally run and set up versus the one that's like really fresh. It's like probably not got that many payment options and it looks like it was just set up yesterday. So yeah, so which again, I think it's a great segue to the next point, which is to bring your brand personality into the conversation. This is aesthetic, it is design, but it also establishes trust in a massive way. We had a client called Drink Hydrant that grew to be a large company, and in their case, design was a large part of how they were solving the checkout experience, and not only checkout but everything else as well. But the idea is, as we've written here, the checkout flow can always be a happy place. It doesn't need to be a serious. Generally, it goes to this transactional sort of a page, and it's super serious, and it's not something that you feel detached from the journey you've had so far. Shopify's checkout page has that problem. You're on a completely different site experience, looking at amazing products, and then you're thrown into this common checkout page. So I think that's sort of Shopify's way of saying upgrade to Plus, probably. But there are ways to solve that. So I think we can always discuss those. The other piece is, so the chart you see here is essentially the number of form fields you're expecting people to fill versus the UX performance, right? I'd said this at the beginning of our conversation. Two things. One is you really don't need that much information for the customer to check out. You don't need their birthday. You don't need their anniversary. You can capture that, and so you find some other opportunity to capture that, right? Of course, if your business depends on that, maybe you can do it, but do it smartly, do it at somewhere else in the journey, maybe. But the point is that you don't want to include too many form fields. This is sort of obvious advice, but I'm trying to visualize that for you. Also, make sure that form fields are mobile friendly, right? So in a lot of cases, when that's not the case, here, if you look at the snapshot that I'm showing you right now, you have a few form fields, which are all of them are visible in a single fold, no scroll needed. You know exactly what you're required to do. The moment you click on it, autofill will kick in and it will fill in the address, right? So autofill is, of course, if you're on Shopify, you're good. But if you're not on Shopify, make sure your autofill optimized. And that way, a single fold, all of your form fields, the user clicks on first name, autofill kicks in. They go to the next page, the card details are also autofilled, and then so that the checkout then becomes that much quicker, and you're in that much better place. The next piece is trust a social proof. Now, we've actually done so many different tests around this. This is one example that I wanted to show you, but I can show you countless examples of really good looking cases where we've actually done testimonials inside the cart page or the checkout page. We've done customer videos inside. So we had a customer where they had a lot of videos that their customers sent us wearing their product, and we did a carousel of the videos and we A/B tested that. It worked wonders. It worked really well. So the idea is, this is where you don't want to feel like you're the only one checking out. You're the only one buying this. You want to feel the exact opposite. And the exact opposite feeling of that is FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Everybody is doing it. I should also do it. So I think, especially if your product is of that kind, for example, if you're a toy or a gadget, it could be an expensive dress. It could be fashion of any kind. So these products, of course, we need clothes, but we don't need many clothes, right? So I think that's where you need to bring in FOMO in whatever way possible, and also establish a lot of trust. So there's many things happening here, right? There are the different payment logos that you accept. So those payment logos have a lot of trust they carry with them. They're large banks. Everybody knows about them. Then we have customer testimonials that are showing up, right? You have a few other things happening on this checkout page, but I'll cover them as I keep going through points. I think I have about 8-9 more points to walk you all through. So I'll just keep going in interest of the time that we have. Keep it distraction free. This is actually a really interesting one. So there are two things that I want to talk about here. In a lot of cases, we see that when the user reaches the checkout page, the website header is still intact, like in this case. The other thing that happens is, for example, if you're running a Hello Bar offer on the top, I'll just tell you what a Hello Bar is. We are actually running one on our website at the moment. So the purple bar you see in the top for this webinar is the Hello Bar. This Hello Bar also continues to stick around in the checkout. So now a customer is in the checkout screen. They're seeing everything they're required to do. The information load is already high. Plus, you're showing them an offer. You're showing them all the other categories that are available, and you're showing 6 products that they should buy instead. So that's obviously not ideal. Don't over optimize for the checkout. Don't over optimize for, say, your average basket size, right? I know those are important business goals, but for example, a simple $5 or $10 plugin on Shopify can help you do a cross sell in your cart, right? But it will not allow you to A/B test that. And we've seen about 40% of the times that cross selling in the cart is a distraction more than it is adding to the revenue, because only a small percentage of people actually take the cross sell, and everybody else who would not take. For example, in this case, the stretch washed chino that you're seeing, which is being cross sold, this looks awfully similar to the product I already have in the cart. Not similar in the way that the product looks, but in the way that it's laid out on the page. B, I'm not going to add a chino without looking at it in more detail for sure. I'm going to probably go in. So I'll click on it. I'll go to the product page, look at the size chart. You've just extended my journey by another minute or minute and a half, 90 seconds maybe. And you've actually thrown me off of the original journey that I was on. So the stretch Riviera short sleeve shirt that I was anyways buying is not going to be bought. So even if you want to do it, do just one product and try and A/B test it. A/B test everything. This is the most critical part of your customer journey. A/B test everything as much as you can. And more shipping options is always a good thing. I said I'll not talk about more payment options, but more shipping options is always a good thing. So, make sure that you summarize the cost. Be very upfront about shipping costs. Okay. We were looking at a survey by eCommerce. 53% of the checkout abandonments are actually because of high shipping costs. So there are ways to mitigate that, but shipping cost is a very, very serious reality. I don't think that you should kind of think of, because in a lot of cases, I speak to a lot of e-commerce founders, and there are long winding discussions we end up having about shipping costs, right? There was in fact a discussion that, we were looking at yesterday, where cash flow situation for a company was poor purely because their shipping costs were so high and they just never charged for shipping, right? So it's an important part of you being a real business, right? And you can't kind of leave that behind, but be extremely transparent and give the user cheaper options to ship, right? Don't just have the $10, $15, $20 option. Give them a cheaper option as well as give them a more expensive option where for people who have deep pockets, they would want to pay for it. They would want to get their product yesterday if that's what matters to them. And we know that there are customers like that. We know that Amazon has already spoiled us for choice, right? So we are getting cell phones delivered in the next 2 hours. So the world is what it is. So you've got to make sure that you have enough options, and that's the best I think you can do at the moment. The free shipping is actually thrown away. We've actually seen that a lot. I would really go all out and boasting off about free shipping. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this point. Boast off about it in your product page. Boast off about it in your cart page. You can add a free shipping bar. So if people add, say, $20 worth more product, they'll get the shipping free, etc. So I think there are many things you can do, but make sure you make a lot of noise about it. It's actually great delight that you don't have to pay for shipping. As much as I'm saying you should be open about the fact that you want to charge for it, I'm also saying that if you don't charge for it, it will work as a great motivator, but then make sure that you take enough credit for it. Is it normal to still charge for shipping if you're above $200? Behzad, it's normal if your product is, for example, it really depends on your business. Like we have customers that have, say, precious products they're sending, or they instead of shipping, they charge freight because their products are large in size, right? So we have hardware, tool sites that, we've worked with. They must charge shipping. There's no option. Or if you're sending something that's really, so really speaking, either the shipping cost, somebody has to bear it, right? Either you build it into your margins or pass it on to the customer. So it's really a question of a row item in your gross or net margin calculation at a product level. So when you do that calculation, you'll automatically know who should pay for shipping. If you can pay for it, nothing like it actually. So what I was saying was missing in the checkout that I was showing you earlier, which is pretty nice. So for us, checkout is missing one, a very, very key item, a very, very key piece, which is that they're not showing the products I bought in the checkout. Have really quality images showing up in your checkout to make sure that the user understands what they're buying. There's a reason they bought. right? And product image and price are the two largest factors, right? Obviously, when you're shopping, you're looking at how much something is and what it does. That's the two primary things. Do you ever buy something because it ships fast? Nobody does that. Of course, that's one of the reasons. But the primary is you look at the product images and then you see how much it is. Those are the first two decision factors. The third one is trust. Is this even real? And then you have many similar considerations before you actually go in and make a purchase, right? Don't allow them to go back to the product page from here. That's something that Amazon does really well. So if you've not experienced that, I would recommend you go to Amazon, go to their checkout page, and you won't be able to go back to their product page. Checkout, not cart, right? And that's actually really interesting. So Amazon gets it, we get it. In fact, on the checkout page, if you click on the Amazon logo, it's not clickable. It won't take you back to Amazon homepage. So Amazon really well, the only way to get out of the Amazon checkout page is to hit the back button twice. That's the only way you can go back in the Amazon checkout journey. So again, high resolution images in the cart page. Don't let them go to the product page. Give them an edit option in the cart itself for quantity and for size, so that they're sure what they're doing. If you're gonna have them remove this, go back to the product, add a different size in, I think we all can agree that it's going to be a much longer journey than we want it to be. Chat is not dead. First of all, it's going to really go a long way. If you cannot manage chat on your own, we have a few partner companies that do fantastic job with managing chat. We are seeing conversion rates of about 18-20% for people who chat and then convert. And this is also the place where they'll have most questions. One of the things that we've seen is with chat data that we've seen that companies end up, people end up asking for free shipping actually in checkout. Hey, can I get shipping for free? I don't want to pay the $10. You send them a coupon in the chat then and there. It's going to happen for a percentage of the users only, but you'll at least let them convert, right? So it's still okay. You got a user, you paid slightly higher to acquire that one user, but the next purchase is obviously going to be high margin, right? So that's how you've got to look at it. And make sure that you also have a phone number that they can instantly dial. That's what was happening with the wishes checkout page, that there was a phone number here, which is another great thing that they're doing by adding it. So trust me, the click-through rate here will be low, but it's your highest intent customers that are going through the pain of asking you those questions. You also want to be sure that you are senior citizen friendly. You're friendly to people who probably are unable to go through a checkout. So you have to do that. Be empathetic to the user. We often used to say this, in webinars, build your experience, for a 6-year-old. If the 6-year-old can complete the purchase, anybody else can. So probably a 3-year-old now, but it kind of goes a long way. So FAQs work really well, especially because there are some fundamental questions you will always have for certain kind of products, right? Anything that has a fitting or a size related element, you want to be able to return it if it doesn't work for you. You want to make sure that you can send it back. You don't want to buy a product that doesn't work for you size wise, right? So you want to make sure that there are two ways to do this. The hard way, or rather, the easy way for you to implement is just add FAQs in the footer and make sure they are visible. This is easy to implement, but hard for the customer, right? The easy for the customer, hard to implement way is you add a FAQ accordion menu. An accordion menu is one you can open then and there. So the question, you click on the question, you see the answer below it. That would make life easy for the customer even more. Just very clearly mentioning we have 30-day returns, quality guarantee, 24-hour customer support. Here's the phone number, here's the chat, here is a testimonial for my customers who bought this. There are only, so I'll also talk about 2-3 more ideas. And then when you tie all of this together, all of these 17, what you have is what we call a super checkout, right? People just can't help themselves, they're buying, right? So that's really what you want to kind of aim for. And if they choose the gift, so gifting options are another interesting, I think it's very relevant to the kind of industry that you're after. This also gives you a slight bump, in your AOV, but you wouldn't believe, especially for fashion and any novelty product related industry, how many people buy not for themselves. They're buying for their friends, they're buying for their family. They're not shipping it to their own address, right? I think the most expensive products that I've bought are the ones I've bought for somebody else in my family. I'm probably I'm different, but I think a lot of us have the tendency to make sure that we give the best to our loved ones. That means we are gifting more than we are buying really nice things for ourselves. So that means you want to make sure there are gifting options, especially if you're selling something that's relevant. If you're selling hardware, nobody is going to gift hardware to anyone. So of course, this recommendation is not for you then. Remind them that loyalty counts. So this is, of course, for industries and cases where you already see repeat purchases. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This is hard to implement. You'll either have to build a loyalty program or sign up with one. So I'll leave you to explore if this is a relevant suggestion for you. This is a big one. What's really happening here is if the user is exiting, we are not showing them an offer. We are not saying them, here's a 50% off, etc. We are simply saying, here's a way for you to save your cart for later. So you're saying no, and you could also add a no spam guarantee here if you'd like, if you can honor it. But the bottom line is, hey, if you're not ready to purchase, but you want to save your basket, put in your email here, and we'll make sure that that's there. If you can also build it in with a coupon code or in any other way, you can also do this by locking their price. Let's say they're shopping when the sale is on. Hey, you can lock your price for the next 24 hours, right? Or here is a coupon you can use if you want to check out in the next 24 hours, but not now. So what you're doing, the intent is two things. One, you're creating recall because you will have their email. And second is you have their email for life, right? So you can obviously bring them back depending on what's relevant to that user. So that was the first half of our discussion. I don't have a lot of points for the next one. So I want to spend just, another 5, 7, 10 minutes on the next one, which is how to prevent cart abandonment. And then I think we would have covered what I wanted to cover. We can open it for questions. In the meantime, folks, for everything that I've walked you through so far, if you have any questions, put it in the chat, or you could also put it in the Q&A. If you have any feedback for me, if you want me to slow down, if you want me to go through something again, please let me know. I'm happy to do that. So we already spoke about express checkouts and how you could have them in your product page. The next big item there is doing AJAX carts, AJAX carts, which allow you to, so what's really happening here is I have the matte liquid lipstick in my cart. I can pick any 2 free samples. I have some bestsellers that are being cross-sold, a free gift that's happening. I'm $22 away from free shipping. So this is information overload. I understand that. But there's no cart now. This is my cart. I hit checkout and I'm taken to the checkout directly. So you've eliminated one step altogether by just doing this AJAX cart on the right. We've A/B tested this for our customers several times. It works well. Of course, but there are cases where the product itself is complex and there's a shipping calculation happening, etc. So I think you want to make sure that you do it only if your customers react the right way to it. Sometimes they want the extra information that they get in the cart page. For example, if your product has a lot of variants or a lot of fine text, for example, if your product has some 10 or 15 variants, you chose one of them, and then you also chose a very specific specification, then the cart page will showcase exactly what you chose, and the customer needs that reassurance before the checkout. If you don't show all of that information, they will feel ambiguous about, is it the same thing that I added earlier, or is it something else in the checkout? Mini cart is the other way of looking at it. In this case, again, as I add something to the cart, it pops out. The cart pops out for me, and I can check out. Right. So what's really happening here is I can essentially, there is no cart page. I'm clicking on the bag. I can see everything that's in the bag, and I can just hit checkout top right, and I'm out. That's it. So it's really, really simple. If I want to go to the cart, if you see there is a view bag button in the middle of the screen right now. That's what would show me what's in the bag at the moment, right? But the mini cart works really well as well. Buy now can work wonders. I, in fact, went as far as suggesting you need to do express checkout in your product page itself. Again, very standard advice. I'm sure you've done this for books, for other stuff that you've bought on Amazon directly, but buy now can really, can really, really work. The other thing you can obviously do is, reassure customers when something happens. When I add something to cart, I can either check out, or I can view my cart, or I can continue shopping. So this is standard experience. This is nothing very special, but this reassurance is important because if you look at what's really happening here, I added the Nano 9.0 shoes, color black. I have my size, I have my quantity, and it's the exact specification that I originally chose. So this is a lot of, you're essentially, it's haptic touch, for example. I don't know if you've, for example, if you drive an Audi, if you drive a Porsche, the touchscreen has a haptic touch. If you touch the touchscreen, it vibrates to tell you that okay, I've registered the input. It doesn't leave any doubt in the user's mind. So it's important to give that haptic touch in the form of a reassurance. I'm just going to remove this away. And then, then you're of course talking about delivery and returns in the checkout, in the product page itself. How much time would it take to deliver? What does you deliver? So essentially what you're doing is, by doing this, nobody is going to the checkout to check what it takes to ship a product. Right? Now, you remember what I was saying? There is no reason for low intent customers that are already low intent to go all the way to checkout to check how much it costs to ship the product, right? If you can't give them an actual figure, give them an approximation that, within the US, this is how much we charge. Within the UK, this is how much we charge, and so on. But you have to give them at least some visibility. If you leave it at shipping is calculated at checkout, you are essentially pushing a lot of users to go all the way to that step. You're losing a lot of them in that process, right? A lot of them don't even have intent enough to go all the way there. Right? And the ones that are actually landing up there are probably very highly disappointed, saying, oh no, I'm not going to pay 5 quid for a shipping. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to probably. So it's kind of it's a double negative in the experience, essentially, right? So that's really what you want to make sure you do. And if they can check the exact delivery cost by entering the zip code, nothing better than that. That would be perfect. That is exactly what we want to do. Okay. So I think we've covered a bunch of ideas here. I want to sum up and I want to add a few other things. Stephen has also asked me a great question about scarcity timers or countdowns. Cart is reserved for these many minutes, etc. You could do a lot of those things. You could, in fact, for example, talk about how there are only 3 left in stock while they're in the cart. You could talk about timers, but the thing is, you have to kind of see, the reason I did not talk about those things is because we've seen people, be extremely happy when I say those ideas, or be really, really angry. We're never going to do that. We're not that kind of brand. We're never going to do timers on our site. But I'll tell you what, timers work beautifully. They work extremely well. But if you are a really premium positioned product, you're selling designer bags, for example, if you do a timer, you're extremely off brand. It's going to damage what you're trying to do. So the answer to your question, Stephen, is that these timers and scarcity timers really work, but ensure that you rigorously A/B test them, and then you make sure that that they have that impact on you. Natalie, are you raising your hand? Would you mind putting your question in Q&A, or I'll just open up Q&A once again, or you could put it in the chat if that's okay. Yeah, I'm open to that's wrong. Okay, that's okay. So to sum up what I was going to say, apart from, of course, answering Stephen's question, once again, people reaching the checkout, first of all, look at them, for lead with data, break them down between high intent users and low intent users that are reaching the checkout. Okay. When they're reaching the checkout, you want to make sure that the high intent ones have everything they need. They're not distracted. They have trust. They have a one-page checkout. They have express checkout options. They have testimonials, etc. They might want to see. If you want to cross-sell, be gentle about it. They don't have any distractions. Everything I spoke about. Craft that super checkout. For low intent users that land up in the checkout, why are they even landing up in the checkout? Investigate. Is there some information you are leaving only for the checkout that you could have given them earlier? Right? Is there something that they, for example, in a lot of cases, if I'm, say, for example, I'll give you an example. I shop, like I'm in Bangalore, India right now, but I keep traveling. I was in Singapore just a couple of weeks ago. I was looking at, and I was shopping online. I had to go all the way to checkout to figure out if they ship to Singapore or not. Right? So that's very simple information. What are the countries you ship to? Which could have been in the product page, but I went all the way to the checkout. And then it was a really off-putting experience for me to say, okay, they don't ship to Singapore, so I'm going to have to probably order when I'm not in Singapore, okay? when I'm back. So I think you got to make sure that no low intent users reach the checkout. And then the other thing you want to do is which is something that we do for our customers as well, is for the percentage of traffic that is abandoning checkout, break that traffic down. Which device, which traffic channel, are they paid, unpaid, organic, what products did they abandon, why did they abandon, etc. You can in fact run an exit intent survey on your checkout for everybody who's leaving to ask them why is it that they're leaving. For the ones that do convert, that checkout, check what's working for them. What is the common pattern? Okay. For example, I'll give you one this is my final example. I know I've given a lot of those, but my final example is, we've seen in cases where sites have products that have a very high traffic. So there are high view products, but they're very low conversion rate, right? So these are extremely famous products, but people don't buy them as much. But there are other products that have really high conversion rate. They are probably bestsellers, but they're often overlooked by people who are going to these really famous pages, right? I'll give you an example. I can't show you the customer that I'm talking about, but this customer is a jewelry client and they have diamond-studded Wolverine claws. Okay. As outrageous as this product is, it gets a lot of hits. And because of how outrageous it is actually a great revenue driver for products that are more normal. For example, they have gold chains or diamond-studded rings, which are really top of the line products, but they're great prices, great discounts that they can offer on them because of the volumes they do. So we are able to redirect a lot of that Wolverine claw traffic to these high-selling products. And you could do that in your checkout as well. So I think at the end of the day, the strategy you choose is to be extremely tailored to whatever it is that you do. Once again, we do very detailed and thorough website audits. We are happy to take a look at your website. So when we send you a recording for this call later, please reply to that email and I'll be happy to set up something for you. We'll look at your website in full detail and we suggest ideas. We'll not charge you for it. Don't worry about it. Let's just get your website up and running and let's let you convert all of what's reaching your checkout page. Okay. If there are any questions, we can wait for a minute. Other than that, thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I hope this information was helpful. I hope all of the effort we put in to put this together was useful. And I really hope that your checkout rate is probably 100%. Thank you so much, folks. Okay, no more questions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Have a great rest of your week.